It's a beautiful Saturday in the month of September, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to another edition of Editors Forum. I am Rita Omodia, and of course on this program we get to discuss topical issues, front burners, headline stories at a court during the week. And this week had lots of stories building, as we know that last week we had the Edo State election, where of course we know that Gordon Obaseki emerged as the winner of Edo governorship post, with his deputy as Philip Shuaibu of the People's Democratic Party. And so far so good. It was quite a fair play, as we saw lots of congratulatory messages to the new governor. And of course, other things in place. We also know that by next week, Thursday, Nigeria will be turning 60. And according to the federal government, it will be a low-key celebration due to COVID-19 pandemic. And it will also be a year-long event, which will last till September, ending 2021. Well, we have lots of things for our discussions for you today. Let's take a look at the headline stories, and we'll be right back. You're welcome back. You're still on to Editors Forum, exclusive to Galaxy Television. Of course, within the week, we also had the tragic incident of the gas tanker explosion that occurred in Lagos at Ajimoy-Ishaga. And of course, our thoughts and prayers go with the victims and friends and relatives of those who lost their lives, and of course, who were affected due to the explosion. It's quite a tragic one there. And of course, we hope that the Lagos State government and all those relevant stakeholders will do their best to compensate these victims. I'm not alone on today's edition of the program. I have with me Victor Aya, is the editor, Prime Health News Magazine. Thank you very much for joining us on the show. Many thanks for having me once again. The smile I'm having from you today is uplifting. You know, when a man smiles.
I've always been like this.
What
do we do? We have to laugh.
All right, I also have with me Nuruddin Adigbero. He's also a journalist and a media consultant. Thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Well, thank you very much. Upon everything, at least we still have to laugh.
Yes.
That is it.
So when
laugh away the sorrow.
When you are still alive, you still have to laugh.
Definitely.
So that it's only those people that have died through any other means we can talk about. So they don't have the opportunity that we have now. So we still have to thank God. Upon all this hullabaloo, left and center, but at least we still have to thank God.
Definitely. As I always say, there is life and there is hope, and we're alive today. We have to be grateful and be thankful for the health that we have been given by God. All right, we're looking at the top stories then. I said last week was the Edo State election. Of course, we would do well to review all that happened within that episode. Last week we had Edo Decides, but this week we're having a review of the election. And surprisingly enough, President Muhammadu Buhari on Friday, September 25th, said he took responsibility for the defeat of the All Progressives Congress APC in Saturday's September 19 Edo Gubar election. We know that APC lost in the election and the winner was from the People's Democratic Party. Now, the president made this known at the State House after receiving the Edo State newly re-elected governor, that is Gordon Obaseki, his deputy, Philip Shuaibu, and some notable members of his supporters group. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari said, according to him, that the reason is that he gave a level playing ground for all the 14 candidates to participate in the governorship election, which Obaseki won. Now, we will recall that Governor Obaseki comfortably sailed to the shore of victory as he defeated Osage Ize-Yamu of APC. The Edo State Governor was declared the winner of the anticipated poll by INEC, having met all requirements by polling 307,955 and winning 13 out of the 18 local government areas in Edo State. And we saw the APC, the All Progressives Congress, also congratulating the Governor, Godwin Obaseki. We saw President Muhammadu Buhari also congratulating Godwin Obaseki. We would recall that he was formerly in the All Progressives Congress but did not qualify for the primaries, so they brought in Osage Izeyamu. Let's have a feel of Edo State. And we saw lots of jubilation there in the state when they declared Godwin Obaseki as the winner of the election. We'll be right back.
To the Governor-elect and Deputy Governor-elect of Edo State. The presentation of certificates of return is a statutory obligation of the Commission in fulfillment of the requirement of the electoral law that certificates of return should be issued within 7 days of the declaration of winner. And the bulk of the credit should go to the chairman of the National Independent Electoral Commission for his steadfastness, and more importantly, for his ability to withstand pressures as an umpire.
Welcome back. You're still on to Editors Forum, exclusive to Galaxy Television. You can be a part of this program. Send messages to our Facebook, Editors Forum /Galaxy TV. Now, we saw how people were jubilating, and lots of stories were going on even before the election, thinking that it would be violent. But so far, so good. We know that there were a bit of pockets of vote buying and a bit of violence, but it wasn't like before, and lots of people were happy with this new election. So what would you say now with the outcome of this election, with the APC congratulating PDP? Do we see a new regime in the political structure in Nigeria? I'll start with you, Victor.
Well, a lot of factors played out that made the election to be very peaceful. First, we should not fail to give credit to the Oba of Benin, okay, who did not play a partisan role like some traditional leaders we play in some other places, whereby certain people were told that if they need vote for a particular party, they should go to Lagoon or that. He didn't play that role. He played a fatherly role by not taking side. He did not take side. He called the major players, the contestants, and he spoke to them that they should see themselves as brothers and sisters, and that they are all members or citizens of Edo State, that if the state was set ablaze, that it would affect everybody. So that fatherly role that he played actually, doused the tension that was building up at that time. And we should not also forget the role that the U.S. government played by placing sanction on certain people that played a very very poor and negative roles in previous election, like what took place in Kogi State and Bayelsa, Rivers and all that, whereby the government of U.S. placed a travel ban on those. Yeah. Those were the factors that actually doused the tension that was building up in that state. So these are the things that actually happened. But be that as it may, election in Nigeria, we always invoke a crisis. Why do I say so? Because of the benefits. The benefits of office in Nigeria are so enormous that people want to do whatever they can do to be able to get into office. We should not forget the fact that somebody can be a pauper today, and once he's elected as a councillor, as minute as that position is, he becomes rich overnight. Not to talk of becoming a chairman of a local government area, not to talk of becoming a governor or president. These are the factors that are making people to go into election with the mind of do or die. Because they know that once they get to that point, then poverty is banished from their life forever. And that is why elections are always very violent. I wrote a story on it about 15 years ago. Why I say that, why elections are always violent in Nigeria. When you make all these things, make political offices to be so rich, whereby whether you are working or not, once you get there, then you become rich overnight. Then all these things will happen. We should not forget the fact that in other times that we copy the presidential system of government from like America and even Germany, you don't become rich by becoming a president. Not to talk of a governor or local government chairman. No, but the reverse is the case. You can never see somebody who is a councillor riding in a public bus in Nigeria. It's a taboo. But in Germany, in America, you find that former president will be riding in public race system. John Major, of former prime minister of Britain the other time, was seen in a public train. But here it is not so.
Okay, so, Victor, were you sorry to cut in there? Would you say that the will of the people has finally been heard and it's more like a milestone for democracy in Nigeria? Because we saw lots of people jubilating there.
Why do they support to jubilate?
Why?
They support to jubilate because even where leaders are performing after election, did you see the trooping to the street to jubilate? It is because of ignorance. There's no need.
Wouldn't you say it's because finally the voice of people have been heard? This is what the people want, and finally they have it. So this is the reason why they're happy.
Even though if the voice of the people has been heard, will that translate to performance? Okay. It will not translate to performance. I have just told you that even in climes where leaders perform, after every election, do you see people trooping onto the street to jubilate? That does not mean that the man is going to perform at the end of the day. No. Because of the kind of structure we have. I have said it time without number that this structure we have, this unity system we have, whereby it is one man in Abuja that is dictating to the rest of us, 200 million people, cannot allow people to perform. Today we are hearing about water resources bill and from the Niger Delta. If this bill say true, if I want to set hook or paddle canoe in my stream, I have to go to Abuja to take permission from our president. Is that how a country is supposed to be run? When we are talking about devolution of power, we are introducing more laws that will strangulate the system, whereby it is only the one man that will dictate when to eat, when to go to bed, when to go to school or not. It cannot help the system. So the jubilation does not amount to anything. It's not going to translate into performance.
Okay, Victor is all about performance. Now, we know that a former Vice President, Atiku Abubakar, said with the victory of the People's Democratic Party, it brings an end to godfatherism, and that was one major issue in Edo State. Do you think that godfatherism is really, or rather is at the bridge or ending due to the fact that finally the People's Democratic Party, or rather hinging on what Atiku Abubakar said, with PDP winning the election?
Well, there is no way you can separate godfatherism from our politics. Even the Obaseki himself, don't worry, in the few times now, in a few months now, there will be local government election in Edo State. Who are going to unpick all those? It's only those he will, because the way we structure our politics, anybody in power, all other subordinates under him, he has been carved in a way that they must succumb to him. Look, for instance, now, I'm not talking about a state where there is a separate godfather from governor. In any state that the leader in that state is the governor, he will dictate anybody that will become a member of House of Assembly in his party. Yeah. The same way is applicable a chairman of the local government, that he was voted him, the way he voted a councillor in, he will still make sure that he wants somebody that will be the councillor. So there is no way we can, like the one of Atiku Abubakar said, well, he just say it as a politician, and when politicians speak, I personally, I don't take it serious, because they only speak when they take good wine. Yeah. When they take a bad wine, what is going to come out of them is also going to be different. Because one thing there is that the way our politics has been structured, godfatherism has been with it from day one. And that was the reason why you will see, look at the appointment of special advisors, special assistant, senior special assistant, senior special commissioners. If that governor does not have godfather, because there are some states, governor is the godfather in that state. While there are some, godfather is different from the governor. So if governor is different, is the one that will unpick for the governor. If the governor is the godfather, is the one that will pick for everybody. To the extent that is the one that will pick the chairman. Have you ever seen a very good primary election to even have a candidate of a ruling party in the state? Have you ever seen one? They always unpick. And it's all across the country. And by the time we follow this particular line, it's going to be very difficult to see a very good person that is going to serve. And another thing again is that on the issue of Edo, well, people can jubilate because of the setting we find ourselves. Yeah. But one thing there is this: I did not subscribe to the issue of because it was PDP that won, then it's a victory for democracy. No. Okay. In fact, that particular election, based on our reporter on the ground, there are some certain things, but because people Oshiomhole factor and the APC factor inside that election, that is why what is swaying some certain people to think that election is free. Even if you want to take it on percentage, that election did not even take 51% of that particular election because of some certain things. The lot of vote buying, that one is one. Even ballot snatching also occurred during that particular election. There are a lot of people that there was even security operatives were also part of, some, not all, were part of some certain perpetration that even go during that particular election. There are some certain places that the election was not even counted. Yeah. But one thing that I see that make the election so superb in the faces of Nigerians is just because of some certain things. One, there is no total militarization of that particular election, like people always say, like the one we see in Kogi. So that was the reason why some people were, and that was the reason why the president had to make that statement that you have to congratulate them, although you won my party. Yeah. So automatically, it is not a party affair, it's a national affair. Why did you have to even feel reluctant? Because there is no reason for it. So what is important there is that it's not about having an election in Edo, having an election in Ondo, having an election in Ekiti. We want a situation where people will go out and vote without any hindrances from anybody, and their vote should count. And mind you, during this particular election, there are a lot of other things that even happen too. What when you have a lot of governors from, they left their own primary duty in their own state at both sides, and they were there, they did not leave until the day the election was announced.
It has always been like that.
So, and it has always been like that. So, which kind of democracy we are even talking about?
Okay.
So, there are a lot of things that, one thing that we have to just do is that the police, they try their best to some certain things. At least, one way or the other, at every polling unit that our reporter reports, we could see the pictures of police here and there. So, that one, and they did not even harass anybody, at least with the one that there are some pocket areas where they were here. But what is important there is that in any part of the country, let people have the liberty to vote, and their vote should count. When it counts, whoever and which party that wins that kind of election, then we can now be moving from this. Now we've moved from certain states, but I just pray, because this one is one-off election. We are going to see what will happen in Ondo. We are going to see what will happen in Ekiti before we can say that we've arrived.
Okay, let's still talk about politics now. We see somehow the People's Democratic Party having a bit of a bragging right due to the Edo elections, and we saw lots of slogans going on. Do you see PDP becoming a stronger opposition now with this winning of Edo State election?
Well, by number.
And even with the fracas going on in the APC, we know there was a bit of fracas between Oshomole and Obaseki. Do you see PDP getting stronger?
No, one thing that we should know is this. In Nigeria, we have only two parties. Okay. Technically, we have only two. And what I mean is that if either of them wins, the other one is going to go and see all the states that they've won. APC have won. Go and see the opposition. There is only PDP. It's only Anambra that is different, and we know the reason why that one is different. But one thing there is this: being a strong opposition by numbers, PDP is the strongest opposition. But in terms of policies and in terms of putting the current government on toes, they've not done very well. They've not done very well in the area of putting them on toes. If not because of rancor within the APC, they will have gone a very good ride before even till 2023. Because the kind of role is only Olobodiyan, the public secretary of PDP, that was only playing that role, but it's not going to be playing like that. You will see to the certain extent, in each state they have executive. What is the publicity secretary of the party in every state doing? Look at the one of Edo State. Olobodiyan is the one that is releasing statements, and somebody is a publicity secretary
for that particular state.
And he's not even saying anything. Not even
the same thing with APC.
So, I understand. So the same way with APC. In fact, the one of APC is even worse, to the extent that even the governorship candidates did not talk as much as Oshiomhole talked in that particular election. So what is important is that for us to have a very good political structure in Nigeria, any opposition, we are not saying you should now be peddling some rumors, giving us fake news. No, let it be on issues. Okay, if current government is doing this, if they are not doing it very well, give us facts, give us statistics, and tell us how you could do it better when you get there. That is what
talking about opposition. Sorry to butt in there. Talking about opposition, we see you talked about having just two political parties there, and we know on the ballot box, we know we had about 14 political parties there. Is that even fair to Nigeria that we're only limited to just two major political parties there? We don't see an uprising of other political parties jostling for position. So we see by Nigerians either looking at and picking a candidate from APC or PDP. Is there no fault there? I'll start with Victor. Let me hear from you, please.
Well, it is not the fault of anybody. It is the fault of the political parties. And we should not forget the fact that...
But don't you think Nigerians are not even looking at the candidates, because the candidates were all listed out, but Nigerians are more looking at... Nigerians are the ones who are going to vote, but they're only looking at PDP and APC.
No, it's not the fault of Nigerians. It is not the Nigerian... It's not ordinary man on the street that is going to portray the contestants in those political parties. If you are vying for a position, you are the one who is going to display yourself. You are the one. If you take goods to the market, is it the buyer that will tell you how to display the products? No. It is you who is selling the product that will market your product. That is how it is. So if those political parties fail to portray and showcase their candidate, it is not my fault as the voter to do that. I don't have the capability to do that.
So it's the fault of the parties?
It is the fault of the parties. And it is not limited to Nigeria. Even in America, you have two dominant political parties. And there are multiple political parties. But when it comes to governorship and presidential election, there are only two dominant parties that we hear about. Why? Because the other political parties, their interest may be to win local government area, to win councillorship, other lesser position. But if you are talking about governorship position and presidential election, it is those dominant political parties that you hear about, because they are the ones that have the money to showcase their candidates, but the lesser one do not have. So it is not the fault of the ordinary Nigeria. Sometimes I hear people say that why is it that Nigerians are not making choices among other political parties. Sometimes they even make reference to Gani, that Gani was he fought for people and they did not vote for her. Just now, Gani fought for who? How many people knew who Gani? But because you were in Lagos, you have access to television. Do you think everybody in Nigeria knew Gani when he was fighting for people?
Okay, let's talk about the will of the people now. I know within the election we saw more of a massive turnout, at least in most polling units, even though they were they flaunted the COVID-19 protocols, as we know that when the COVID-19 pandemic. But we see lots of people coming out, and even in some clips, even in a particular local government where we saw thugs trying to snatch the ballot paper, we saw that Nigerians or Edo residents fought for their to make sure that that person was caught. So do you see the will of the people getting stronger to make sure that their voices are heard? Do you see
the
that?
will of the people has always prevailed in some
No, but we see more. Let's say we are having a reduced voter apathy. Before, you see less people turn out for elections, but in Edo State, we saw more people turn out.
No, people have always been turning up. I will not accept that position that people don't.
Okay.
They have always been turning up. But when people turn up and you have a massive display of a security agency, some of them taking side with government. They take side with government, and when they are taking side with government, what do you expect the people to do? In the Osho election, the people that we had on ground and went there, they told us what happened. How people were beaten, they were were driven back not to vote. So in now such a situation, what will the ordinary citizen do? They have to go away. But in this situation, that scenario did not play out. That was why we saw people, voting peacefully, and they protected their vote. So the people are always determined to vote. But when people that control the apparatus of security are bent on truncating the system, what do you expect to happen?
What do you expect from Godwin Obaseki now as a new governor of the state? He has ruled for 4 years, and we know that Edo State is not necessarily, we know that there are still some lapses and things that he should do to the state. What would you expect from Obaseki now?
Yes, what I expect from him is that the people have given him their mandate for another 4 years. So he should write his name is good by continuing with the level of development, because a lot of people that have spoken about him, they commended him for his performance, and that was why they stood by him. If he had not performed and Oshomole stood against him, the people would have voted against him. But the people stood up that this man is performing according to their own measure, according to their own evaluation. Both people in Nigeria and those in diaspora, they spoke good of him. So he should continue in that path by improving the lives of the people, by providing infrastructure for those people, so that by the time he leaves office, people will remember him for what he has done. I can still remember that Samuel Gbomudia, when he was a military governor of the old Bende state there, Benin, Edo, the things that infrastructure that he built at that time, people are still commending him for that. Right. So, and even Awolowo, he was a premier, he was never a president. Today, we are still making reference to him for the fact that he gave free education to the Yoruba people. So he should do something that will uplift him. He should perform in a way that people who stood against him will be put to shame. Okay. When people see the structure that he put on ground, they will say, if this man had not won, all these things that he's giving to him, giving to us, we wouldn't have seen them. Thank God that he won. So they will praise God on behalf of his performance. All
right, okay. I think Victor Aya has rightly put it there. We're talking about performance there, and we expect more from the governor, Godwin Obaseki, in the next 4 years of his administration as the Edo State governor. We know that another election is far right around the corner, and that is the Ondo election. And we have, of course, as we always say, more like the two major political parties there, APC and PDP, still jostling for the positions. Now, what would be your advice as a next game plan for APC? We know that APC lost in Edo elections, ahead Ondo elections. What do you think should be the game plan for APC?
Well, firstly, that election, because I always do with facts. Okay. People did not come out and vote.
Oh.
Yes, because before the election, the statistics on ground is that we have 2.2 million voters that can vote, that are eligible to vote in the 18 local governments. The total number of the vote is not up to 900. So what are we even talking about? So automatically, upon how we think people really go out, okay. They did not go out. Because that's why you see some
Judging by the numbers.
You will see some certain polling units. They will tell you that in that polling unit, maybe a combined polling unit,
yeah.
you can have the one of 71,000, like the one in Edo North, 71,000. By the time you are going to see what PDP got, they can say PDP got 20,000. What of APC? APC gets 15,000. By the time you discover that in every polling unit, 50% did not, over 50% did not vote. So automatically people did not even come out and vote. And let me tell you one thing. Yoruba has one beautiful adage. They used to say, "Ti giba sumogi oni obomani style." That means when you have two towering trees all around, you can see the style of monkey. But when you are on a playground where there is no tree at all, Obo will only be jumping on the ground. So to even run after monkey is going to be very, very easy. But when you have tree, it will just be using you to do style. And that is the thing. When people are coming out to vote, for any political party or for any politician to win such kind of election is going to be very, very difficult. Then from the one of APC, well, just like the words of Adam Soshomole, he said in election, you win some, you lose some. Yeah. But what is important there is that one of the things that really made them to lose that particular election, one of the major things that made them to lose that particular election, one of the major reasons is just the articulation of your policies. Because you can't say somebody is bad. You must bring out what that person has not done, and you tell us what you are going to do better. It's not about calling names, it's not about abusing.
Okay.
No, it's just about...
Let's link it out to Ondo State.
Then with one of Ondo, now they are the ruling party in the state.
Yeah.
And what is going to make Ondo State different from Edo State is because of one thing. Edo is not divided in terms of ethnic group. Although we know the Benin is different from Esako, we know all those ones. But the one of Ondo is going to be very different. Because it's not going to be 2 Ospreys, it's going to be 3 Ospreys. Senate Labour Party is there. By Ajayi, so it's not even there. 2 again is 3.
Deputy
so
governor.
And one thing again that you should notice is that Jekede also contested against Akeredolu last 4 years.
Yeah.
So automatically now they did not switch party. So both of them are facing themselves together, and with the one of the Senate Labour Party coming together now is going to be another. What APC needs to do one thing, that within their house they must come together. All the hearing members, they have to come together. They have to, I know Akeredolu has been doing that. He has talked to Boroface. He has talked to all those senators. Some House of Assemblies that are not in touch with him, he has even called them. But the problem that is there is this. One particular aspect of Ondo State, all those SLDO, Kitipupa, you need to call them and put them into the agenda, and all the executive within that particular area needs to work for him, because that is another major area that has been shown out of his own system. And that's why you see now during this campaign, he has gone 3 times now to that particular area. That means he knows that particular area is so germane for his re-election. Then another thing again is this. You need to showcase what you've done. I always tell people, it's not about campaigning. That's why the manner of which our politicians are campaigning in Nigeria, when you see the campaign, you just be laughing, because you can't pinpoint anything. It's just about articulating what you have done. Okay, in the area of education, I have built this. Give numbers, give facts. All right. I have done this. So if they can be able to articulate it very, very well, then they can be able. Then one of the PDP, Jekede has not been a kind of person that is so flamboyant, and for him, upon Ajayi coming to his party, a deputy governor, and still wins the deputy governor, hands down in primary, it shows that he's on ground. And another thing, if you go and talk to some elites from Ondo, you will know that they tend towards him. Serious in terms of being humane, being responsible, and that one also is another point for him. All
right, well, it's going to be a hot wall in Ondo State come October 10. Well, not in terms of violence, but of course in terms of contenders. As he said rightly, we have 3 major contenders there in Ondo State. We have Rotimi Akeredolu, we have Itayo Jegede, and of course Agbola Ajayi, who is the incumbent deputy governor in Ondo State. Well, let's see how that plans out, and we hope it will be free and fair.